Welcome back everybody, it's Monday and this week we are tackling the crumble. Apple crumbles. We've picked some apples in a field not too far away from where I grew up in sunny Buckinghamshire. We've taken them to the lovely heights of Clapham and now we're going to turn them into a crumble. Now I'm not talking about the stodgy crumbles of old, even though they do hold a place in my heart. I'm talking about cracked honey caramelised apple, flambéed with rum, a separate almond and vanilla crumble, good hit of creme fraiche and a little flicker of vanilla over the top. Let's get it. First things first, we want to get the crumble in the oven. Now what is a crumble? It's basically flour and butter that you've mixed together and crushed together with your hand. So we've got our flour here, we stick the flour into the bowl, then we get the butter straight in. Just like that. Now notice that I haven't put any sugar in, I haven't put any flavourings in, I haven't put the almonds in. Because what you want to do is you want to crumb the butter, the cold butter and the flour together before you put anything else in there. If the sugar touches the moisture from the butter, it will dissolve, it will become wet and you'll end up with a biscuit, not a crumble. So always crumble your flour and your butter in together before adding anything else. And you just lift it up with your fingers and massage and push that butter into the flour and you're just crumbling. You're crumbling, man. Let it fall through your fingers, pick it back up. It's a labour of love. A good tip if you have got warm hands, you should run your hands under cold water before you start this just to cool them down a little bit. You don't want the butter getting too soft. You want it hard from the fridge and crumbled into that flour. A good tip when you're halfway through this and you can't pick the big bits from the small bits, just give your bowl a little shake. It will bring the big bits to the top of the mixture and then you can crumble those down with your hands. Now it's done, it's sandy. It's got that iconic crumbly texture. This is when we can add the sugar, little hit of vanilla and the almonds. I'm gonna take my hands out of the scenario now and switch to a fork. And you'll see because the sugar hasn't been dissolved by the exposed butter, it turns into a really nice fine crumble, ready for you to bake. We've got our oven preheated at 160 degrees. We're gonna put this out onto a tray flat, bake it for about 10 minutes, give it a little crunch up, and then stick it back in for about 6 to 7 minutes, get it out when it's nice, even golden brown, and stick that on the side. That's your crumble done. I've got these apples here, all different varieties. I don't really know what they are, to be honest. I've had a bite of each of them, and they feel quite sour, sweet, good texture. I'm gonna take off the leaves, stick them to one side. What I'm gonna do to this fruit is I'm gonna expose it to extremely hot heat. I'm going to expose it to cracked caramel, caramelized honey. So I want little bits and then I want bigger bits because the little bits are going to cook down to go nice and soft and translucent and the bigger bits are going to hold a little bit of crunch. So you get a multi-layer of textures. One of the apples I'm going to peel, one of the apples I'm not going to peel. You can do whatever you want. Could this be a little bit of desiccated and flaked coconut in the crumble? And this is mango, pineapple that we're doing the same things with, yes. Could this be a little bit of clove onto the crumble, a little bit of crushed clove and nutmeg onto the crumble? And we've got figs, we've got plums, we've got autumnal stone fruits. Yes. Could this be the start of spring or summer? And we've got red fruits, strawberries, raspberries, torch with a little bit of framboise or cherries with kirsch. This could be any fruit with any flavour that you desire. Go with it wherever you want. It's the technique and the process that we're showing you. So I'm going to take this apple, I'm going to dice it. You don't have to be precious at all. And I've just cut these apples into like these big sort of wedges that I'm going to throw into the bowl. Our apples are cut, we've got dice, we've got wedges, all skin on, all rustic, all beautifully flavoured with that organic goodness that you get from a freshly picked apple. Now because these aren't little tiny berries, because the apple is quite a robust fruit compared to some others, I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of sugar and that's just gonna macerate and bring out some of the sweetness, break down some of the walls of those apples. A little bit of lemon on there as well. Give it a good massage and that will sit on the side happily for about 10 minutes. So while they're happily macerating away on the side, my crumble is in cooking. I'm gonna take that out now. It's been about 10 minutes. And as you can see, this is just start to brown and caramelize a little bit around the edges. We just wanna put a fork in there, give it a good toss, bring the edges to the middle, flatten it out, stick it straight back in the oven. I've got a good heavy bottom deep sauterne pan here. I'm gonna get that onto the heat and bring it up to quite hot. It should be smoking slightly. This is the mise en place for the cooking. That will then turn in the mise en place for the plating. Are you following me? It's all about setting yourself up before you go anywhere near heat. So when you start to cook, you're in complete control of that pan. You're not searching in the cupboards trying to find that thing you forgot to get hold of. Everything's there, you're in front of the pan and you're giving it your full attention. Now our pan's starting to smoke. Izod. We're gonna get our honey, tip it straight in. It will bubble, it will smoke a little bit, but this is basically the moisture from that honey evaporating. We're looking to evaporate that and then turn that stunning honey into a deep caramel. If you look at the bottom of your bowl of apples, you should see a tiny amount of juice gathering, a tiny little amount. And that is the sugar macerating those apples down and just breaking down the walls. So once we get the honey to a desired level of bitterness, a desired level of darkness, I will warn you, you can't mess about. Butter straight in, then fruit straight in. Give it a good mix and that will start to break down, release the moisture from that fruit. Lighter ready, rum in hand, into the pan, and then flambe. And that will just give a beautiful torch spice rum note to these stunning apples. Look, and I've got a little nugget of caramel here, but I'm not worried about it. That will dissolve. As the juice in that pan heats up and the moisture continues to evaporate, that caramel will dissolve. The crumble's out. Stunning, golden brown. We're gonna leave it on the side to cool. Don't stick a fork in there straight away, because some of those crumbly bits, as they cool, will sort of latch together and you'll get a little bit more texture with your crumble. Now my apples are starting to cook down and the temperature of the pan isn't at an extremely hot caramel level. I can add my spices, my flavorings. I'm going with a little bit of vanilla and a flicker of cinnamon. Now, believe it or not, we are ready to plate. Our crumble is ready, our apple is beautifully caramelized, it's cooked down, it's golden brown, it's got flavor of vanilla and cinnamon running through it. And now we're at the time to plate. I've got a lovely little pasta bowl here, a small one, a dessert bowl, a nice little shallow bowl. I can spoon into that, crumble on top, good hit of creme fraiche and or ice cream, whatever you decide. Or we can go traditional. I can fill this little cup up, put my crumble on top, and then dish that out. So it's like a new sort of way of cooking it, but it's traditionally served with your creme fraiche quenelled on top and a little bit of vanilla. Go with this wherever you want. I'm a greedy boy, so I'm going to use a greedy boy bowl. So we take that apple, beautifully caramelized apple, flavored with cinnamon that hasn't been burnt and cooked within an inch of its life. It's got pungence, it's got that aroma, and we just fill one side of the bowl. Our crumble, golden brown, beautifully crunchy, whispers of vanilla and flavors of toasted almond just over the top. Now this is creme fraiche, proper decent creme fraiche with a very high fat content. If I was to mix this creme fraiche around, it would lose its structure. So what I want to do is just take the lid off, put my spoon in, and then just rotate it. So I end up with like this abstract cone of creme fraiche that we're just going to place gently on top of the crumble. Little flicker of vanilla and or cinnamon, and that's it. My stunning, super quick apple crumble with a cracked honey caramel, flambéed rum, cinnamon, vanilla, almond crumble, and a good dollop of creme fraiche on top. Ah, thank you all.